So just so you know, Glenn, you're live, okay? So don't do anything funky.
You know me, eh?
Oh, you share the post. Don't start getting up and dancing, Georgia, or anything like that.
So I can find the share on your page. Is that right?
Um,
Do I go to www.fiona
no, no. Are you on? Let me see.
or is it under ABC?
Good question. I think it's in the private group.
Oh, here you
Oh,
are.
but it's on my, yeah.
I think I got it now. I almost started singing ABC, so we're lucky. So I just do share. I just hit share and then
Yeah.
what? What? I should share it
The
to
power of sharing and caring.
sharing is caring, don't you know?
Baby. Oh, it was the baby, baby, baby part I was thinking of.
Oh yeah.
When,
Baby.
yeah, when they were singing together.
Now I'm thinking Janis Joplin. Cry, baby.
So we're gonna wait for a few more people to come on before you give them the show of the night, okay?
Oh, look at you. I can read what you're
So guys,
saying.
if you're coming on, just remember you're in for a treat.
Yeah. Come on,
You
people.
better start sharing.
People, come on here. Put the Netflix down. Don't be a
Come on
clown.
in.
Hang out.
Come on in.
Come
Oh,
on. Come
get
in
you up.
with
Come on in.
it.
We
Come
got
with it.
something for you. Come on in.
Yeah, man. There's lots of stuff to talk about. This is so good. You know. I don't know if people even realize what's going on. You know.
With what?
People don't find out about things in this town. You know, I was talking to someone about Machel Alley, and they're like, "Are you playing at Machel's Alley?" And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah,
But
tomorrow."
Glenn, this is why we're here today.
Yes, indeed.
Because every strategy has to be executed. Right? I remember I was talking to someone and she said, "Hey, I saw you in the newspaper. I didn't even know there's something called the Oral Black community. Why didn't you tell me?" And I said, "Well, you saw it in the paper. We print 100 paper. We send it out to the Aurora Cultural Day.
Right?
I write in the newspaper all the time, the Aurora and the York region, and everybody really talks it." Did you know what you said? "Oh, but I only saw it in the paper because I normally just take up the paper to wrap my thing and throw it out." I said, "Yo, I pay.
But,
You get the paper
but
to
nobody
read
reads.
what's happening in the community, and you threw it out before you even read it."
Nobody reads the paper anymore, though. You know what's funny about that paper? It's all flyers, so people will read the flyers, but they'll literally remove the news and go
And I
right.
do the opposite because I
Yeah,
have the flip on my phone
right.
for flyers. So when I want to do price match. But
Well,
anyway, guys, Glenn want to tell you what's going on in the town. He's gonna probably even sing for you, so you better share the live and come on. I
baby,
think
share
people are coming.
the love.
Let me see what they say. Somebody's supposed to show the comments.
Share the
What
love.
are your thoughts on today's finding? Well, that's going to be too deep, Shaheen, to get into. Today's finding was a confirmation of the call that the Aurora Black community just had with the town of Aurora. And Glenn, I think this is the perfect. That's what I was going to ask you earlier, because Glenn, this the confirmation about the racial injustice and the disproportional, the apology we all see. Did you not see the news today, Glenn?
Um, I'm sorry, I was zooming.
Oh, sorry.
But
So
you
anyway,
please tell me. Please fill me
today
in.
was a big day. I think somebody shared it on the ABC page, where they're bringing out the statistic and the report now showing about how the Black community have been, the statistic, and the policing and all that, and the police chief came out apologizing in the Black community, saying, "Well, you're really not apologizing to us, you're apologizing for letting down your own people," whatever they were saying. But it's very deep. It's very, very deep. I haven't given it much. I didn't give it my thought yet and share anything, so thanks for bringing that up, Shaheen.
Will you share that with me?
I definitely will share that with you, because Glenn is going to reflect on the piece, and I can't thank the Aurora Cultural Center again, in you, Glenn, being the coordinator, and Suzanne and the whole team for putting this together. The idea. What is the definition of again? Is it
Inclusivity, diversity, equity, and accessibility.
right? And so with that conversation, I'm really looking forward to sharing my piece as one of the speakers, because this is needed. And so what happened, Glenn, is that when things are happening, whether outside of Canada or outside of Aurora, we wait for it to happen here before we have a strategy in place.
Mhm.
And so our town is doing so many things, in particularly yourself, Glenn, with the chamber, with our cultural center. And so for people to be absent and not take part into these free events,
Yeah.
it is sad.
It is sad, but I think, that's why we're doing this tonight, is so that people really understand exactly what the event is, because um, it is listed as an artist symposium for artists, for educators, for agencies, artist agencies that hire artists or that put on gallery shows, right? But the thing
Yeah.
is, like, it's also accessible to the general public, to up and coming artists, to people with a passion for the arts, because it is the theme of it is your voice, our community, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
um, providing space for voice is critical, as
Yes.
as we know. So this is what the objective of the symposium is to have these representative voices from these four different diverse groups,
Hmm.
um, and to give them the opportunity to speak, is one of those spaces that you are speaking at. And then, we have someone who has accessibility issues, and we have someone from the Indigenous community, and we
Hmm.
have a senior representative from the LGBTQ community, whose perspective on what it's like to be an older member of the gay community, and the battles that they've had to get to Pride. So a lot of people, Pride, for example, don't realize that Pride was born in a battle on the streets of Toronto, and now it's this rainbow, right? But and it's beautiful, but under that, we also have to realize, like, where our voice comes in as allies is that we have to speak strongly, clearly, and resolutely that people who are 2S LGBTQ plus IA are protected and feel safe, because they are not, and they don't feel safe. And there are victims of violence, and there is a resurgence in this right-wing ideology that that they should be harmed. And someone I just saw posted in Idaho, they found 30 people going to a Pride event to hurt people, and they were members of a
Wow.
yeah. And somebody, this is where voice is powerful, saw them and said, called the police. I said, I saw 30 people looking like they were going to war.
So why would somebody want to go to a pride event to hurt people?
Because they're filled with this ignorance and hatred.
But
And
Glenn, this is why, for me, I despise tokenized events. Okay, so for me, I won't just put up a rainbow just because it's that day. I
yeah,
want people to remember the lifestyle of people beyond those moments.
yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
so for us, even though I don't have families or myself within the community, it's impossible to not be able to relate of what it is to wanting to feel belong, to be
Mhm.
understood, to have a safe place to be you.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
is,
So, and I think I saw a post by this person too, and I follow him on Instagram. And he goes, I appreciate love is love, but you got to go past that.
yes,
You have to
yeah,
stay, you have
yeah.
to stay safe to love. And I was like, wow, that's important, because he's he's uh he's a member of that community, right? And he's an artist, so I mean, he doesn't feel safe. So it's things like that where we provide the goal is to provide this space where people can communicate, and but also is experience art in an interactive, engaged fashion. And that's what I really wanted the symposium to be. Whereas I've been to conferences that are, in my opinion, they're very formulated, keynote speaker workshops, you never have time to talk to anybody, and then you have lunch, then you have a workshop, and it's tiring, right? So with this,
Mhm,
we have performance. We have this unique performance of three artists who've never played together before, and we're putting
mhm.
them in a circle, and they're going to improvise and interact with each other. So it's this crazy, unique musical event. I have my music professors coming in, and he's demonstrating this incredible, I wouldn't call it an experiment, but this innovative technology he has where he can actually amplify the sonic energy of plants, and he turns it into this symphony through this system and miking and synthesizing these sounds. So like this, that's just on day one. And Taylor McKinnon is opening, and he's going to speak about some of
Glenn,
the.
let me pause you for a minute, just so people who are just coming out understanding what's happening.
Yeah.
This is Glenn Morris, that everybody know in Aurora and beyond. He's amazing, and I'm just talking with them as we are bringing some light and more exposure to this amazing program by the Aurora Cultural Center, I.D.E.A. It's about diversity, equity, inclusion, accessibility, and that identify with everybody as a citizen of this world and of Aurora. So I don't think anyone should feel excluded out of this, because what did you say? Your voice, our community?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Glenn is just kind of so what you're hearing now is Glenn giving you a little summary, a glimpse of the amazing program that is going to be from June 25th to June 26th. So go ahead, Glenn.
So and I think we started with the message that it's open to everyone. So if anybody wants to come and participate in an amazing, unique, art-based experience with riveting, powerful, contemporary keynote speakers that are going to address some of the current issues that we face with inclusivity, diversity, equity, and accessibility, and bring them to light because of their stories. Stories inform our history, they inform our present, and they give us a platform for the future and hope for the future, right? So Saturday is this powerhouse day. So Fiona's closing Saturday, and just you gotta hang on because that's gonna be. It's gonna hang on tight because it's gonna be amazing. And then after that, we have this concert in the park, so you can stay. You can go to the town park. Now Sunday has a really strong Indigenous theme, and we have Dr. Cynthia Wesley Esquima, who's one of the pioneers and leading voices in Indigenous culture and history in Canada, speaking in Aurora. Just to be able to hear her speak is it's priceless, right? And then we have Jan Beaver, who's a knowledge keeper, and she's going to come in and do a talking circle with us. And then, we have Grant Peckford he works with the York Pride, and he's going to speak about LGBTQ plus. So, June is a month for Indigenous recognition. It's a month for Pride. We have accessibility. And as you say, none of these things are calendar based. This is year round, right?
Yeah.
The work that you do in Aurora is so important, and you're always out there, and you're bringing I love how you radiate light into Black awareness, in that it's not just like one month a year, that it's not one singular thing. It's like involvement and sharing that involvement, but really advocating in a clear voice what is needed now. And that's what's important, I think, about your message. I don't want to give it away, but it's now. And we're all tired of waiting.
Yeah.
Taylor, our first speaker, I mean, this is a man who has to have accessibility to be able to go places.
Yes.
So, and this is the thing where people, you always hear like walk in someone else's shoes, but you really need to, because think about what he faces when we just go about our thing and we do our thing. This man has to map every single thing out and know that he can bring his wheelchair into a place. There should be ramps going into every public space. And it's not just physical accessibility. There's the fact of mental wellness accessibility. There's accessibility for hearing, sight impaired, for people with high level anxiety. That there's, we need a more humane society. And this is what I really want to resonate from this symposium, is that humanity is not a part-time gig.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I love that. Somebody need to hashtag that if you're watching. Humanity is not a part-time gig. And I love that you say that, Glenn, because, sometimes there are a lot of barriers. So let me tell you something that could have been a barrier to me accepting this invitation to be here. The fact that I'm closing my business on a weekend when, it's busy. But you have to put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah.
And you have to be willing. These work are sacrificial work. So if you're not willing to make the sacrifice to put in the work, then the talk is cheap. And where I have my salon, yes, based on the time when these buildings are built, I'm not sure my clients can't come in. So accessibility is a big issue. So
Mhm.
immediately I had to think, how do I reach them? So I started go to client, and Glenn, I make sure that those clients do not need to pay any more money for me having to come to them to offer my service, because it's not by luxury choice.
Mhm.
It's because of the lack of accessibility to with their wheelchair or different reasons to come into my space. So
Yeah.
this is really a program and an event on June 25th, Glenn, that I think everybody should be booking to come to, even if it's for 2 hours, for 3 hours, but to
Well,
be a part
yeah.
of.
All ages too. It's like if you have a son or a daughter or who's in university or college or thinking of going into the arts, this is a great opportunity for them to come and immerse. And the networking opportunities are going to be huge because
Yes.
yourself, you do tons of events. Taylor's an active musician. He's
Mhm.
at a lot of events. Dr. Cynthia Wesley Escoma is one of their leading voices in Canada for Indigenous culture and rights. And then Jan Beaver, she works with Georgina Island. Um, so these are great networking opportunities, not to mention the guests that are coming.
Yeah.
And we I deliberately put in half-hour network breaks because,
Nice.
yeah,
Nice.
because you get that 15 minutes. You got to go to the
And this is
bathroom.
at the Aurora, the Armory, right? The location. Let's put it in the comment. So the event for the 26th is on the 25th of June. Is happening at the Aurora, at the Armory. Did I get that right, Glenn?
Yeah, the Aurora Armory,
The Aurora Armory.
which sits right adjacent to the town park. For anyone who's not familiar with Aurora,
Yeah, I have some clients and friends that are looking forward to coming out and participating. So, guys, if you're just topping on, I'm just talking with Glenmore Nurse for the coordinator. Is it from the Aura Cultural Center and our famous artist? You're playing tonight? Is it tonight you're playing?
tomorrow I'm at Machel's Alley.
Tomorrow he's playing at Machel's Alley. If you don't know what Machel's Alley is, it is, if you know where Replenish is or the Vintage Spice, you just want to go there and you're going to hear the music happening. It's right on that side. And it's a new space that is now open by the BIA, the Business Improvement Association in Aurora,
Yeah.
to kind of bring more liveliness, as from my direct interpretation, to the downtown core. And so, yes, Glenn, we have to continue to do this little conversation and talk so people can be more aware of what's happening. So if you're popping in, this is what we're talking about, the fact that I'm going to be closed on June 25th to be a part of this amazing inclusivity, diversity, equity, and accessibility conversation and amazing day with artists and events and
Mhm.
networking and just conversation. And after 2 years of being stuck here with COVID, Glenn, I'm so excited to be out.
Yeah, me too. I've been trying to get out as much as I can. Like tonight, I'm gonna actually. I mean, this doesn't sound crazily exciting, but I'm gonna ride my bike down. I'm gonna get some ice cream, and I'm gonna sit
Down where?
just down to Riverwalk here in
Oh,
Newmark.
nice.
I'm gonna sit with my book, and then I'm hoping to. Well, I'll stay up. I want to see the moon tonight. It's gonna be beautiful, full
Nice.
strawberry moon. But anyway, I don't want to get all into the romantic part of my life.
Oh, does that mean you're leading into Georgia?
Georgia. Yeah, I want to say, like, register at the Aurora Cultural Center
Yes,
website.
yes.
You get your food is free, by the way. So breakfast,
Oh, food is free?
yeah, you come. Even if you want to
Do
come
they have to
for
register?
food. Pardon?
If they don't register and they show up, what happens?
You have to register, yeah.
Okay.
So if you
So
go,
register at,
but you can list on the registry. You can put your dietary restrictions.
is it
Um,
.ca or .com?
.ca.
.ca.
And then, so for example, you put your name in, you say your dietary restrictions, if you want to come Saturday or if you want to come both days, or
I'm
if you want
looking
to
if
come,
you spell it properly.
yeah, I know you get, or if you want to just come Sunday, right? So you have those choices. And yeah, like I said, I think people, sometimes people hear symposium, they're like, symposium, that's boring.
Boring.
Yeah, this event is going to be killer,
No,
man.
I don't participate in anything that's boring. We love vibe, and neither do neither does Glenn. So,
We don't do boring. We
and
don't do boring.
Suzanne and her team has been doing a phenomenal job. So, guys, listen, there's so much coming on. It's the summertime. Please register at the Aurora Cultural, or just Google Aurora Cultural Center,
Yeah,
and you will see the events, RSVP.
and come for these important conversations, because I heard an interesting comment from a conference that I recently attended, which is the Mel Brown festival in Kitchener, and he was a black musician who moved to Kitchener, and he became like a musical legend in Canada. So
Mhm.
they did some work. They did a symposium in the day about the factors that affect the music industry and why there's still that ceiling, like and that black artists are seen in one way and white artists are not. And a classic example is the use of language, where like Johnny Cash can sing about killing someone and make it sound fun. And killed a man in Reno just to watch him die, right? And he sang that in the 50s, and no one blinked an eye, right? But then you get a black artist who speaks about the reality of their neighborhood where people are getting killed by the police, and then they're saying, well, black artists have so much anger and hatred, and
Mhm.
they're aggressive and violent. And I'm like, no, they're expressing the conditions by which they live. Whereas the difference is staggering, that you get an artist like the Johnny Cash example, who wasn't shooting anybody. He was just writing these lyrics to make a shock value,
Yeah.
and no one bats an eye, right? So there's
Let
a
me ask
very
you a
different
question.
reaction, right, to
Let
this.
me ask you a question, Glenn, because even if it's not spoken, I'm sure it's been thought of, or it's my assumption that it's been thought of. Do
Hmm.
you think that living in like Aurora, because this topic is about diversity, equity, inclusion, accessibility,
Yeah,
you think that people are saying, okay, now when are you guys going to stop talking about that?
for sure they are. It's uncomfortable,
Yeah,
but change doesn't happen in comfort. Change
yeah,
happens when we're uncomfortable.
yeah. I was talking, Glenn, in one of the posts that I made recently about my heart broke, how heartbroken it was for me to hear someone from the LGBT calling to say, do you take persons who are gay or lesbian in your place to do their nails? and
Wow.
and for a minute I didn't think it was a real question, right? But then you're kind of making sure that you don't joke with people on the phone that you don't know so easily. You're like playing off. I said, well, we serve people. I don't know how to answer your question, but we serve people. And unless we don't have a service, or
Hmm.
we don't provide a service that you need,
Yeah,
like cutting hair or braiding or whatever, we
yeah.
serve people and we open to a public.
But
We're
that's
not a walk-in, but Glenn, these are realities that some people are living with, and because others are not, they can't comprehend. They
that's the
can
fear.
step in
That's
that
the fear.
shoes and they're thinking, oh, it's not a big deal because it hasn't hit home for them.
I'll give you another example of that. I was playing hockey a couple winters ago up in a northern area, and I was the only person on the rink that was of color, right? So I was up there with my kids, and I wanted to play shinny, and this was like this weird feeling of going back to what it felt like when I was a kid, of feeling nervous around being the only one, right? And so I didn't ask to join the game because I was afraid to go over, right? So no one gets that unless you come from that perspective of having faced racism in a hockey room where someone calls the N-word, you know, you wouldn't get it. But then if I saw a buddy of mine playing and I went over and talked to him, and then he said, come and join us, right? But if he'd hadn't of, I wouldn't have played, right? So
Mhm.
feeling welcome sometimes just takes that person saying, hey, come in, man, or being on your end being received well with that question, like, do you take gay people here, and being welcomed with open arms and say, we just serve people here, right?
Yes.
So that's a difference maker, right? And
Yeah.
it's
Glenn,
it's
I
a simple invitation, right?
Glenn, it's for me, I love humanity. I love people. And I and for these conversations that's going to happen this weekend, the event, and it's going to be so fun but so educational at the same time. I think what I hope that people can continue to understand and get is that we're not choosing one over the next. We're
Mhm.
saying bring those others in.
Yeah, everyone. Yeah.
You know, nobody should be left untouched because these things of lack of inclusivity, lack of diversity, lack of equity, accessibility, it has to affect everyone because my business is affected when people with accessibility issues cannot come in to use my business.
Yeah.
So we are all affected. So why would we not all be concerned about strategies and collaboration and things that are going to make a difference?
I don't know. It's a big question. I think a lot of people, I mean, at times, I think, we're all guilty of this, but our focus is myopic and it's in our own world. And some of it's necessary. Like you have to pay attention to your life, but you also have to decide, what world do you want? And as
Mm,
adults, we have a responsibility. I think of the indigenous quote, like, that we are only borrowing our time on earth. Like, we what we're doing is for our children, for our grandchildren. Like, we're building a better world for them. So it's perspective, right? And I think if more people would open their eyes and their ideology to the principles that we are here to build a better world in whatever way we can. And I think that's where sometimes the message that you get may be misinterpreted, where people say she's so strong, and they may say she's angry all the time, but it's like, well, of course there's an impatience, but just because you advocate for the rights of one particular demographic does not mean that you are angry. It just means that you're very clear, right? So people, like, the defense mechanism is to say, "Oh, she's so angry, man. Just leave things alone. Like, what do you want? That's different." And but they don't realize, like, if you're a racialized minority or you're a black person and you're a visible minority, when you walk into a space, you feel the difference, and that needs to change. And when you're applying and you're trying to move up the ranks in a corporation, you feel the top of that glass ceiling. As a woman, you feel it. And until these things are removed, then we all should be speaking. And the last thing I want to say is the loudest voices should be white people. It should be people of privilege who live in a white privileged society, which makes white people crazy. But I love everyone, and it's got nothing to do with saying white people are bad. But the colonial based system that favors the white demographic is not good. So how could you, if you reverse it and say, like, arguably, if we had a system that favored just black people, then you would have a right to say this black system is wrong. You know what I mean? It's just perspective. So I think language is a tricky thing where people get triggered, they go into defense mode, and it's like you really need to listen and hear what someone is saying so that you can respond in accord with what they've presented to you, not with what's residing in your mind as
mhm.
as the, like, quid pro quo defensive response all the time. And I see it happening more and more now, where people are like, you're saying something and they're not even thinking, they're immediately going to the whatever is popular in the public conversation,
Mhm.
and adopted reasoning and facts have very little place in it. So sorry, I went off on a rant there.
No, it's all come together at the same place, Glenn. And I feel that the simplest way I can encourage anyone to come out and support this event by the Aurora Cultural Center that will be happening at the Aurora Armory next week, Saturday and Sunday. And I'm so honored again. Thank you guys so much for asking me to be one of your speakers.
Of course.
The best thing I can say is that everyone knows what it is to don't feel belong, regardless of your status and your rank and your this or your that. Everyone
For sure.
knows what it is to feel excluded, and to not feeling welcome and not to feeling a part, and feeling like they have to constantly wearing down their tire advocating for themselves or the issues. And so what's the last thing that you want to give everybody about coming on June 25th and registering for this amazing event on Aurora Cultural Day? Sorry, on
Yeah.
June 25th.
Yeah, just share and let your friends and family know, and that it is a great event that's going to be, as we said, educational, inspirational, a place to have these really important conversations, to further further our work in these
Yeah.
four key areas, but also to enjoy an amazing, incredible experience, right? Like, to hear you speak and to hear Taylor and to see these three like world-class musicians. We have one of the top Indigenous performing artists in Canada, possibly the world.
Mm.
Mimi Obonswin is performing at she's playing all across Canada now, and she's going to be in Aurora at this event. We have,
Lisa said, Glenn, that these conversations not only educate but give a voice to those who have trouble expressing their thoughts and experiences. So thank you for this, Lisa. Girl, I can't. That yeah, you're singing to the choir. This is amazing. I love it. I love it. So I want to read it again because I want people to listen, literally hear it. That in terms of having the conversation around equity, diversity, accessibility, inclusivity, it doesn't only educate us, like Lisa says, it gives voice to those who have trouble expressing their thoughts and experiences. And Lisa might add to that, and those who, when they express it, they're tuned out, because, yeah. So thank you for sharing that.
yeah, thank you.
So, Glenn, you want to sing a song?
Yeah, let's. Well, there's going to be some great music there,
Um,
and I
yeah,
will.
you're going to be playing, and Glenn is playing on tomorrow night at the Mitchell Sally
Yeah,
right here in Aurora, Young and Wellington. As you pass by, he's going to hear the music. I'm not dancing; he's just singing, and I'm watching.
you can dance if you want. Yeah, please come out. It'll be more fun. There's people out.
Yeah, tell your friends.
So I'll sing a little bit of Georgia, and then we'll say goodnight. You can
All
come
right,
hear
let's
the whole thing tomorrow. You don't get the whole thing tonight.
go. Hit it.
Georgia, Georgia, all day through. It's an old sweet song, Georgia on my mind. I say Georgia, Georgia, peace I find, just an old sweet song, got Georgia on my mind.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, Georgia, Glenn got you on their mind. You better ring up his phone right now.
Aurora,
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna like. Aurora, you got.
Aurora,
Oh.
come to the I.D.E.A Symposium.
On June
Will
25th.
change your life and entertain you too.
Bravo, bravo, bravo.
Baladani.
All right. Well, thank you all so much. Thank you, Glenn, for entertaining this conversation. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. Most importantly, go to Aurora Cultural Center. Sorry, Aurora Cultural Center. I don't
Yeah.
know if it's tre.ca.
Yeah, that's right.
And register for the event. It is a free event, completely free. Food's free, entertainment, You're gonna hear Mita, Glenn play, indigenous music. It's gonna be wicked. So, and then
Right.
in the
Come
night,
on.
there's more party at the town park. So
Come on. Right.
thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you, Lisa, for being on. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you.
Have an amazing night.
Say bye.
Peace out.